Rugby League World Cup 2008, brought to you by Gillette Fusion.
October 2000, and Australian captain Brad Fittler holds aloft the World Cup at Old Trafford. Ages on, and the 9 times champions defend the trophy on their own soil, with England, Scotland and Ireland aiming to be champions of the world. The 2008 Rugby League World Cup is nearly upon us, and you can see all 18 games live from Australia as the tournament unfolds. And in just a few hours, England begin their campaign against Papua New Guinea in Townsville, with coach Tony Smith confident his squad has both the experience and the skill to mount a serious challenge down under. Well, joining us throughout the tournament are Paul Cullen and Martin O'Fire. Paul was a former England coach who led his country to Federation Shield success in 2006, while Martin played in the 1995 World Cup for England, and we'll hear from both of them shortly. Well, England's opening match in Pool 1 is by no means straightforward. They take on Papua New Guinea in the heat and humidity of Townsville, conditions more suited to their opponents. Well, Bill Arthur has been with Tony Smith's squad this week as they acclimatised to North Queensland.
Just off the coast from Townsville lies Magnetic Island, with 23 unspoilt beaches, a holiday paradise, but one that's been stalked by fear this week because of a monster crocodile on the loose. That's been the big local story, overshadowing England's arrival in town from their World Cup training camp on the Gold Coast. Now they want to get their teeth into the competition.
Yeah, and we're itching for it. You know, we need to. We've been together for a while now, and you just sense the feeling that the players need a game, and so do the coaching staff as well. You can only practice and get ready for so long, and we need to get back into it and get playing. The players are really keen to get into it now.
It's Australia's fastest growing city, and Townsville put out the welcome mat for their World Cup visitors with a civic reception, where Tony Smith announced his team with a full debut for Leeds winger Lee Smith.
I've had a bit of ups and downs, and even this year, through middle of the season, I didn't get picked for Leeds and stuff, but I got back to what I do good, and towards the end of the season, it did all right for me, I suppose.
Probably 3 or 4 years ago, I would have earmarked him as being in the Great Britain or England team for some time, and he hadn't quite cracked it, but he's cracked it now. And sometimes some of these things need to take a bit of time, and they need to earn them, and then you appreciate them a whole lot more. So I'm sure he'll do a terrific job, and I'm really looking forward to his performance.
The temperature is top 30 degrees all week in Townsville, and England felt it at their first training session alongside the Dairy Farmers Stadium, venue for what they know will be a demanding opener against PNG. And even for some of the senior players, it'll be a first.
Never played against Papua New Guinea before, so it's a new experience. Don't know a lot about their side either, which I don't know whether it's a good thing or a bad thing. Just know a few players, obviously Stanley Jean and Mikhail Yazoo, John Wiltshire, know a fair bit about them. And I suppose if they have anything to go by, then we can expect a very committed group of players.
And PNG always have a reputation as being, shall we say, committed.
Yes, committed, aggressive, call it what you want. I don't think they leave anything out on the field. So it's a game which we're focused on, and we know we have to be very good. And we've got a pretty good forward pack ourselves. So hopefully we'll be all right.
The croc has been the big news this week, but now it's England's turn to put the bite on PNG.
Well, England will need to have their wits about them in more ways than one, by the sound of it. Well, the format of the tournament sees 10 teams spread over 3 pools. England are in Pool 1 with Australia, New Zealand and Papua New Guinea. The top 3 in this group will qualify for the semi-finals. England play PNG on Saturday, while Australia take on New Zealand in Sydney 24 hours later. On November the 1st, New Zealand take on PNG on the Gold Coast before the big one, England against Australia from Melbourne. The final pool match sees England take on New Zealand in Newcastle on Saturday, November the 8th, and Australia face PNG in Townsville the next day. And you can see all three of England's pool matches live. First up, it's PNG on Saturday at 9:30 on Sky Sports 2. Then it's Holders Australia in Melbourne on Sunday, November the 2nd at 8:30 a.m. on Sky Sports 1. Their final game in the pool stages is against New Zealand in Newcastle on Saturday, November the 8th at 8:30 on Sky Sports 2. Well, we all remember how the 2006 Tri-Nations Tour fell off the rails after that win in Sydney, Paul. How prepared is this England side, mentally and physically, for this tournament?
I believe as good as any team that's gone across to the other side of the world to take on the best of the world in this kind of competition. You know, Tony Smith is a formidable coach, very strong disciplinarian, and his background work for his players has been superb. Spent an awful lot of time in the saunas, in the sports science camps, getting the players to acclimatise to what's going to hit them when they take on Papua New Guinea tomorrow morning.
And Martin, we were hearing from him just there. Lee Smith wearing the number 5 jersey, your old jersey. Yeah. Is he ready for this?
I think after his performance in the grand final, his man of the match performance, I think that proved his maturity. To think that you're playing in one position early on in the week, and then for Brent Webb to get injured and to come in and give such a commanding performance in a position that's not foreign to him, but one he's not used to playing in as much, I think shows great maturity. I myself at first probably thought Calderwood might have got the edge over him with experience, but I think Tony Smith has made the right choice in playing him there.
And he's one of just 10 backs in the squad, Paul. I mean, there's a fair bit of versatility, but there is a lack of depth. Is that a worry later on in the competition?
Only will be if certain players get injured early on in the competition. And Lee Smith actually played full-back for my England side a few years ago, along with Chris Ashton, actually, who then left to play rugby union. And he played both wing and centre and full-back in that competition. So his versatility, and as Martin quite rightly mentioned, his ability to play the big games and play them well, has given him the nod on this occasion.
And much has been made of the conditions in Townsville, early mid-30s, hot, humid, conditions more akin really to Papua New Guinea. They're used to those conditions. Are we making too much of those conditions, Martin? The England boys have been training in heat chambers. Will they be prepared or unduly worried about this?
I don't think they'll be unduly worried. They will be a little bit worried, but we can't forget that even in the Challenge Cup final this year, St Helens played in atrocious conditions. It was so hot sitting in the stand that day. So I'm sure they know what's in store for them. I'm sure that Papua New Guinea are quite happy that they're playing that first game in Townsville, even though I suppose it's going to be played at local time about 6:55, so it won't be the hottest part of the day. But having said that, I'm sure they're happy that the game is in Townsville rather in Sydney. But I believe it's an obstacle that England team will get over.
Well, our main commentary team in Australia during the tournament will be Eddie, Steve-O and Phil Clark. They've been in Townsville all week, keeping their eye on England's tournament preparations. Eddie.
Well, thanks very much, John, and welcome to North Queensland. And just look at this weather. It's never less than 30 degrees Celsius during the day, but come kick-off time tomorrow night, it'll be just like a balmy summer's evening back home. Much has been made, of the temperatures here in Townsville. I've got Phil and Steve-O with me, as you can see. Phil, this should provide no problem for England.
No, there is a certain holiday feel about the daytime, but we have a cooling breeze, and relatively the humidity is quite low. I don't think that the England side will have much of a problem with these conditions.
Well, we watched the England players in training yesterday. What did you make of that session?
I was very impressed with the England training session. There was a great deal of intensity, a high level of skill, and it's important in a World Cup in which you only have 3 group games that you start the tournament particularly well. I've got every confidence that Tony Smith's side will do that.
And Steve-O, when we talk about England, there's almost a club feel about the place, isn't there? Because 14 of the 17 are from either St Helens or Leeds.
Well, that really does not come as a big surprise. Let's face it, Leeds and St Helens are by far the best 2 teams in Super League. Now, when Tony Smith took charge of this England outfit, he made it quite clear he would only select players who were fully fit and in top form. He's certainly done that. I spoke to the England players yesterday, and they are so confident. Not cocky, but very confident indeed.
Steve-O, let's talk about Papua New Guinea for a moment. They've been described as the Adrian Lambs to the slaughter, and they're upset, aren't they, that they're in this group, the so-called group of death?
It's not going to be easy for them. They know that. They realise that it's very, very difficult for them to qualify for the semi-finals. But let's face it, there's only 3 that are playing for Papua New Guinea that has actually got experience in Super League. Now, I think they'll play very, very well for probably 20, 30 minutes, but I think that the fitness levels of the English boys will be far too strong for them.
OK, then, I think it's time to get back to the studio. John, Paul, Martin, it's pretty tough out here, as you can see. Hope you're coping all right in London.
The term living the life of Riley springs to mind. Well, rugby league is the national sport in Papua New Guinea, and that makes Stanley Jean a national icon. The Hull KR forward has faced all of England's players throughout this year's Super League season and will provide an invaluable insight to the English game ahead of Saturday's showdown. Ben Pro has been seeing the PNG veteran.
On Saturday, one player will claim a hat-trick before a try is scored when Stanley Jean celebrates a World Cup milestone.
I think it's my third one, probably would be fourth, but I think the 2004 was supposed to be another World Cup, but it was cancelled, so I think it's my third.
It's no exaggeration to say the 1995 tournament rocked Jean's world, and impressive displays in the group of death could do likewise for the class of 2008.
In '95, I was just like one of the boys here, from local boys coming from PNG, and didn't realise that, you know, that one World Cup in '95 in England would change the whole life. I was pretty shocked because I didn't realise that people in Australia and in England play rugby, a job that they get paid to do. And when I did come over in '96, it was you know, an eye-opener for me, and I'm still learning a few things now, and still meeting very good friends over in England. Some of the local kids back home, I told them that, you know, in '95 it changed my life, and I hope you know, this year will change your life, and what better way to be in a group against England, New Zealand and Australia. I have great respect for England and England coach Tony Smith. What a great coach he is, and with all his players over there, and a very world class and talented players they've got over there. But, you know, we got nothing to lose, as I said, and we'll just get there and prove other people wrong. It is a must-win game. For us, it's a must-win. Rugby league is the #1 sport, and you know, all the people back home are watching it, and there's a lot of pressure, not from here, but from the people at home, because rugby is our life.
One of the game's true gentlemen. He played in the 1995 World Cup, as did you, Martin. Yeah. How influential is Stanley Jean? He's a very influential player. He's been going for quite a long time. There's a lot of debate about how old he is. Looking at that video, I was thinking, I'm not going to get my boots back on, get back out there again. But he's been a tremendous inspiration for Hull KR this season. He's had a great season, and I believe he's going to be a bit of a talisman for PNG tomorrow. For them to do well, Stanley's going to have to stand up and lead his troops into battle. And Neville Costigan, the former Queensland State of Origin hooker who's playing for Papua New Guinea in this tournament, has said how brutal their training camps have been, how they're going to rip into England. How would you approach this if you were Tony Smith, Paul?
I think you've got to keep the ball off Papua New Guinea. And I wouldn't have any doubt in my mind that it's going to be very tough and very, very physical. You know, Stanley Jean, as a player himself, was extremely difficult to tackle. He's very, very well put together, and multiply that now across the rest of that team, and a lot of younger players in there who have a serious point to prove. So England will not, I'm sure, have it all their own way, and certainly not in the opening quarter of this game.
Well, let's move on to Pool 2. And 8 years ago, Scotland appeared in their first World Cup. The build-up to their opening game against France on Sunday has been intense. But coach Steve McCormack made sure he and the team took some time off to pay a special visit while in Canberra. Angela Powers has been with the Scottish squad.
A striking monument in the heart of Canberra. The Australian War Memorial is a place for reflection, to remember the fallen. It's a place Scotland's coach was keen to visit ahead of their match against France.
It pales into insignificance really when you've seen what it's like in there. But yeah, it's a big game for us. We're looking forward to it, and you know that the players have trained very hard, and they do deserve some downtime as well. And this is certainly a good place to come and you know, put things into perspective and certainly focus on what's going to be a good game for us.
A short but memorable visit, a brief break from the task at hand, preparing a side that will do Scotland proud and counter the threat from a France team brimming with Super League experience.
With a pretty experienced side as well, probably the most experienced Scotland side I've ever been in charge of. You know, you bring the NRL players in there as well, and you know, quite a few players have experienced Super League, and you know, players like Danny Brough has not only experienced Super League but been a real standout in that competition. The Henderson brothers, you know, they've all experienced you know, the highest level, and you know, Ian Henderson's coming off the back of a fantastic season as well. So previously we've not quite had that experience, and you know, maybe that quality, you know, that as we've got in the squad today.
This is a side full of national pride, and they've embraced the culture full on, from wearing a kilt to eating haggis. But it's their rugby league that will have to catch the eye on Sunday.
We do have to play well. We're a team that we have to play to our full potential. You know, we've got a lot of passion and a lot of pride. But in World Cup games, and certainly against the French, you have to turn up and play well. And you know, they've got some big fellas in there, and we're just hoping our kicking game is going to be vital with people like Danny Brough, and you know, that extra little bit of quality. If we do get the chances, we do have to take them, and you know, I thoroughly believe we can do that. You know, we're pretty much underdogs in a lot of people's eyes, which we have been for quite a few years now. But you know, we're quite confident. I don't think Scotland have ever won a World Cup game, so that's our first aim. And as I said, the French game's a very big game for us.
History teaches us lessons about the past. Perhaps on Sunday, Scotland will make a little bit of sporting history for future generations to remember.
Scotland are in Pool 2 along with France and Fiji. The winners of this pool will meet the winners of Pool 3 in a semi-final qualifier in the Gold Coast on November the 10th. Scotland play France in Canberra on Sunday, while Fiji take on the French in Wollongong on November the 1st. Scotland then play Fiji on the Central Coast 4 days later. They qualified at Wales's expense. Let's say no more about that. They've got some key players in key positions, but are they capable of springing a surprise against France on Sunday, do you think?
Steve McCormack nailed it, I thought, in his previous quote. The kicking game of Danny Brough is absolutely vital. You know, the Henderson brothers do have you know, a very strong point to prove, but they have it all on. The French seem to me to be the favourite in that pool, especially now with the success of the Catalan side. The vast majority of the French side plays for that side anyway, and do hold the edge.
But you look at the Scottish side, the likes of Michael Robertson, Ian Henderson, Scott Logan, they're not just fringe NRL players, are they?
Yeah, Michael Robertson, one could say, was very unfortunate to be left out of the Australian side. There's a young lad, Williams, who played on the opposite wing in the grand final, who got in, and Michael Robertson scored a hat-trick in the grand final, so it's not many players who can end their careers and say they've done that. I believe that Steve McCormack summed it up when he said Scotland haven't won a World Cup game, and I think they are going to struggle to beat the French. I think a more realistic target might be obviously a win against Fiji. But as you said, they've got some interesting players and interesting positions, but I just believe with a lot of the Celtic nations, there are too many holes in their squad. Players who are coming up from a lower level of rugby, and sometimes, you know, you can sort of raise your game, but it's very hard under the pressure of World Cup situation.
Yeah, you see that in a number of the squads, don't you? There's a number of some lower league players with these NRL Super League players. How difficult is it to coach a side with such contrasting levels of ability?
It's going to be very difficult for the coaches to pull that together, because they've only had a certain period of time in which to work. But whether it be the Scottish side or the Irish team in the next group, you know, they pride themselves on that camaraderie within the group, and that's going to be very, very important. We remember the big win against Wales not too long ago for the Scottish side, which quite, you know, which prevented Wales from going to the World Cup. You know, and they did very, very well to win that group, very well indeed. So hopefully it rubs off and they can keep it up, you know, for that one game extra.
Well, on to Pool 3, and back in 2000, Ireland won all their pool games to reach the quarter-finals. This time, though, they've got their work cut out if they're to go one better. They're up against the might of Tonga and Samoa, but true to form, Andy Kelly's squad are united by that typical Irish spirit, and they'll be hoping that will go a long way to propelling them towards the latter stages of the tournament. Here's Angela again.
A roof with a view, and a spectacular one at that. A great spot from which to see Sydney, but make no mistake, this is no sightseeing tour for Ireland. They're here for business, and their preparations have been meticulous.
We spent the first 5 days in Narrabeen at the Sports Academy and really put the guys through the paces, and they've worked extremely hard. And coming into Parramatta, we've steadied off the pace on the conditioning and done more game-related stuff. And some of the collision and defensive work that we've done is now stepping up a little tempo, and we're having to pull the players back. We fear a little bit of injury between the squad, really.
Part of their build-up to the game included a training session on the beach at Bondi. Different scenery helping keep the boys fresh.
I think they enjoyed it. They got to go on the beach, and as the training finished then they got some time in the water. So I think it was beneficial. It was a change of environment and stimulated the players a bit.
Celtic pride plays a big part in this team, made up of Irish, English and Australian accents, but with Irish roots and heritage that make them feel honoured to wear the jersey. And it'll have Irish eyes smiling back home.
Yeah, my family's Irish and that, and it's important to me. I can't wait for my family to watch me play and play for Ireland, and I'm sure they'll be sitting at home in England and in Ireland and be very proud. I mean, they got to get up at, I think it's 6 in the morning, our first game, and they'll all be proud. And I'm actually excited as well. I can't wait. We've been singing the national anthem in Gaelic. We all know it in Gaelic now. Yeah, so we've been practicing that, and I don't know if you've ever heard it in Gaelic, but it's pretty emotional when you sing it. So yeah, we're all taking it on board and can't wait.
A recurring question in press interviews over the last 10 days has been whether the Irish can compete with the big Tongan and Samoan squads. But upsets can happen, especially in a World Cup.
I believe that we're in a pool where quite possibly one of the semi-finalists will come from that pool. You look at the strength of the Samoan squad and the Tongan squad and the physicality that they bring to the arena, and we've got our work cut out, and we're going to have to work extremely smart to get over and above our opponents in that group. And if we do, I think the confidence that will bring will be something that could carry us forward even further.
Underdogs they may be, but that doesn't mean they're under-supported. Expect a rousing experience when the Irish take to the field on Monday. They have a strong Irish following that's banging the drum for them.
So this is Pool 3, a difficult group for Andy Kelly's team. They're joined by the Pacific Island nations of Tonga and Samoa. Now the winners of this pool will play the winners of Pool 2 in a semi-final qualifier on November the 10th. Both of Ireland's pool matches are at Parramatta Stadium on Monday against Tonga, and then on November the 5th against the Samoans. Sandwiched in between those games is Samoa-Tonga on October the 31st in Penrith. Well, they'll enjoy a great support from the large Irish population in Sydney, but how tough a pool is that, Paul?
I think what you're going to find with the Tongans and the Samoans is that naturally, genetically, the big men, very heavy set, which means they're going to be very, very powerful. I think the key to working in those games, you've got to keep the ball off them. Your completion rates have got to be very, very good, because the moment they get the ball, they're a very skillful group, and as I mentioned, they're a very, very powerful group. So technically and tactically, that's where that match or those games have got to be played and won.
You need a little bit of quality to deal with those qualities that Paul was just speaking about, Martin. Are they lacking a little bit of quality?
Ireland's, they've got a lot of camaraderie. You can see from the VT we watched earlier. There's a lot of passion involved there, and I'm sure with Barry and Terry in the camp, they'll be stoking the boys up before that first match. But as I said earlier, a lot of these Celtic sides, there's a lot of holes in their gene pool, in the player talent. But they have got some interesting players. They've got Stuart Littler there, Carl Fitzpatrick at the back, Blanche, the speedy winger from Wakefield, I think, is out there. So they have got a few players, but I can't see past the Samoans in this group. When you look at the quality they've got in this side, the likes of Melio, Hansen, they've got Ali Lautiti. There are just so many Super League and NRL players, and there's such strength and depth of all the sort of what you could call emerging nations. I believe they are the strongest, and they've got Vangana, who's the talisman and captain, and I just believe that the Samoans I wouldn't actually call them dark horses, but I just believe they are going to be the fourth semi-finalist.
Would you go with that, Paul?
I think it's very fair to say they have enough class, enough quality, enough power to get them through that early stage.
And Tonga, I mean, I suppose Samoa-Tonga is the key game in the group, isn't it, Martin?
Yes, it will be. But having said that, Tonga only recently got nailed by New Zealand by 50 points. So they've got a lot to prove. And I know that there's still some wranglings about whether they're going to get one or two players, commissioned to play for their side. So there's a lot for players to play for, a lot for teams to play for. But as I said before, I believe that Samoa are the team to beat.
Well, the England team sponsor Gillette have joined up with us at Sky Sports to give you and a guest the opportunity to go to Australia to watch England in this year's World Cup. Here are details of how you can enter.
England, Scotland and Ireland are all off to Australia chasing World Cup glory, and we're giving you and a friend the chance to join them. Sky Sports and England team sponsors Gillette are offering you the trip of a lifetime. You and a guest can win return tickets to Australia, a week in a 4-star hotel, a unique chance to meet the England team, plus tickets to the final in Brisbane on Saturday, November the 22nd. All you have to do to be in with a chance of winning this fantastic prize is log on to the Sky Sports Rugby League World Cup website page, www.skysports.com/downunder, which will give you all the details you need to enter. Good luck.
Well, we're out of time, I'm afraid, but before we go, let's just remind you about the games coming up for you live over the next few days. Well, England's opening game sees them take on Papua New Guinea on Saturday morning at 9:30 on Sky Sports 2. Scotland kick off their campaign in Canberra against France, followed by Australia against New Zealand. That's at 6 a.m. Do set your alarm clocks. It's on Sky Sports 2. That programme will also include the opening ceremony from the Sydney Football Stadium. And Ireland's first game in Pool 3 sees them take on Tonga at Parramatta Stadium. Sky Sports 1 at 7:45 on Monday morning. Well, it's thanks to both Paul and Martin for joining us. So after 8 years, the World Cup is back. 10 teams battling it out for the ultimate prize in rugby league. Scotland and Ireland aim to surprise. Australia will want to hold on to the trophy, while England expects. Prepare yourselves for 4 weeks of rugby league heaven. Bye for now.